certainty. I was called to have influence and use it as a voice for others. Let me tell you, if you go right off back, it is a trick, but I think look something around.
That which you'll like, it has to do with ice buckets, so we'll wait for that later. But this man has gone from nothing to being a millionaire in just under 5 years. He has his own construction company. He has his own investment company. He now has a brand that helps people to invest into real estate, learn how to get into real estate. He's been in wholesaling before anyone that you've heard of in wholesaling even started it. And he is just absolutely amazing at everything that he does. But I love that when he talks, he says that he is on mission. Because when he is on mission, that means he has a vision and he knows where he's going. But he also has the people around him to continue to facilitate that. And he just goes after life with a fervency that I've never seen before.
Wow.
And so, to get you guys even a little more excited, the videos keep getting me pumped up. Like, I want to run rolls. These are new rolls, so please don't run through them. So before I actually bring Chris Aguilar up to stage, we are going to play this video to let you know a little bit more about him. So, cue the video, please.
I knew with certainty I was called to have influence and use it as a voice for others. Let me tell you, if you go right off back, it is a trick, but I think look something around.
Amazing.
You're amazing. You're amazing. What a great intro. What a great intro. You may have a seat. Let me tell you, the best days of your life are ahead of you, not behind you. Again, the best days of your life are ahead of you. I don't expect green pastures on their way. Your heart, my heart, is actually evergreen. Turn to the person next to you and say, the best days of your life are still ahead of you. Come on. Come on. Come on. That is right. Let me tell you, everyone in here is a genius. The problem is that we allow people to put labels on us. You see, I believe it was Albert Einstein that said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, he will live his entire life thinking it's stupid. So we can't allow people to label us for us to think that we are not a genius. Let me tell you, I'm a genius, and every single person in this room is a freaking genius because we are made in the image of God. And if you have 0.00001% of God, you got to be a genius. But you got to find out what is your mission on this earth. And I love what you said. What a great intro. Thank you. Love you, man. You're awesome. You're a great speaker. If we can go ahead and go to the first slide, a little bit about me. We are the owners of AH Construction. My beautiful wife, Denise. Please give it up for my wife, Denise. My dream girl. We developed over 2.5 million square feet of real estate, fix and flip and wholesale, hundreds of properties, built a $40 million portfolio. Just recently wrote this book right here called Just Maximize. Who wants a copy? Who wants a copy? Here you go, brother. Let's go. So that sounds great, doesn't it? But it hasn't always been that way. I had a point in my life where I had to make some difficult decisions, where I felt like I wasn't winning, where I felt like I was sucking. I felt like I wasn't good at anything. I felt like I was losing in life. Let me tell you, I worked at this company called NASCO, owned by General Dynamics. It's a shipbuilding company. And they label you, they have about 20,000 employees. I came in right after high school, and my number after a year working there was employee. They rank you by how great you are, how punctual you are, efficiency, productivity. And I was like number 1,460. And I hated that. I mean, there were some old timers there that were like, Chris, I've been working here for 30 years, and I'm number like 20,000 something. Dude, you're doing good. I didn't like that. I wanted to be number one. I wanted to be number one. Who wants to be number one in your sphere? Come on. That's right. So I knocked on the door, and I asked one of my supervisors, and I wanted to work with the number one. They used to call him El Burro, because he was a very hard worker. And I said, I want to work next to him, because I wanted to see how he worked, and I wanted to beat him. I wanted to be number one. So I got, eventually, after knocking enough times in that door, it got open, and I got to work next to El Burro. But let me tell you, he was actually under the influence of cocaine. I could not beat him. I actually got injured. Probably the best thing that could ever have happened to me. They put me on light duty. I was taking care of a parking lot, cars in the parking lot, and as I was walking that parking lot, I remember one day where tears were coming out of my eyes. I was just talking to God, and I said, I'm such a loser. I'm not good at anything. Like, I want to have the beautiful wife one day, the state home, a helicopter, the yacht, the jet, the Ferrari, and all that. But I just don't know how to do it. I know it's in me. I just don't know how to do it. And I had to make a decision. And there was a point where I said, enough is enough. Wow. It is showtime. Let the Chris Aguilar stand up. And I gotta admit, I used to listen to Slim Shady a lot back then. So I made a decision that I had to take action. And that action propelled me to get to this assignment that we have now, where I'm gonna tell you guys about it. So if we keep on rolling, remember, if you're not building your own vision, you will spend your entire life building somebody else's. You see, we all know that without people perish for lack of vision, right? But also, vision without knowledge is destructive. So you got to make sure that you equip yourself, educate yourself, so that you can get to where you need to be. Now, we believe that the holistic way of building wealth is with good fitness, understanding business, and investing in real estate. If you take care of your body, the most important asset that you will ever have, is going to allow you to operate at an optimum level so you can build a great business. That a great business is going to give you income, then now you can invest in properties for passive income. Then the passive income will take you to financial freedom. And then financial freedom will allow you to tap into your purpose. You see, working a job for money is a distraction to not be operating. That's what the enemy wants. It is a distraction to not be doing what you're supposed to do on this earth.
That's so good.
Now, fitness. By the way, I heard this over the weekend. I heard this, and I want to share it with you. When it comes to good health, if whatever you have in your pantry, whatever you have in your refrigerator, if it's good or bad, you or somebody that you love will eventually eat it. So be careful what you purchase. And this is for anyone in business, regardless of the sphere you're in. You might be in government, arts, entertainment. You might be in education, business. How many business people we have here in the room? Wow, that's beautiful. It might be education. It might be family. It might be religion. Any pastors in the room? Come on. Pastor Marco Contreras. Give it up for Pastor Marco Contreras. Come on. So now, we see fitness as mindset and physical. We talked about purpose a little bit. Could you guys imagine, Jacob, could you imagine 90 years old, Jacob 90 years old, and I know you can't even imagine this because I know you're on purpose, you're on a mission, you're on an assignment, but if you're on your last days on earth and you will look at your life and think, I never gave myself a chance to tap into my purpose. How horrible would that be? That's not you. But that is why it's important for us to connect with the purpose of our Creator here on earth. Now, a wealthy mindset It's a mindset where you understand that money doesn't have you. And what that means to me is to know that I'm not worth, honestly, I don't even know what my net worth is. I don't care. I play the game of cash flow. You see, a net worth will only put a label on you. And by the way, there's no like levels. We're all having different seasons in life, all right? But if you allow money to determine how much you're worth, then you're not understanding true wealth. Wealth is a mindset, a set of rules and principles that allow you to leave a legacy for your children and be on purpose here on earth. Now, by the end of this night, you should be able to understand that you are wealthy. It's not what you have in the bank. And with that, I want to share with you the Texas story. So Texas is a guy. His name is Texas. Kind of like change the name a little bit because some of you might know him. So we went to this conference, and I invited him to speak, to be one of the main speakers in this event. And as I invited him, he said, Chris, he disqualified himself because he allowed people to put a label on him. Wow. And he said, Chris, I'm not wealthy like you are. Wow. He goes, I don't have the money that you have. I can't go and speak about money because I'm not a baller yet, he said. Wow. And I said, let me tell you, Texas. I said, let me tell you something about wealth. Wealth is what you have here in your mind. I said, I see you as a prosperous, wealthy individual because of the way you speak, the way you act, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself. Do not ever say that in front of me again. He went and he spoke alongside with me. He did a fantastic job. Now, when it comes to business, we believe that you got to have the right tools, the right technology, and you can't stay behind. By the way, one of the reasons why I feel that our developing company has done so great is because we know how to pivot and shift with the economy. We understand that there's to be the times that are difficult call for different things. That we understand that if there is an opportunity, people will see it as a problem. We see it as an opportunity. The bigger the issue, the more we want to run towards it. Now, technology. We're now using for our developing company artificial intelligence. TCA for real estate, absolutely we're using artificial intelligence. Wow. For social media, artificial intelligence. Wow. If you're not tapping into artificial intelligence, hey, you're going to stay behind. Yeah. So tap into AI strategies. Put yourself under the right authority, under the right mentorship, under the right leadership for this sphere that you want to go conquer. Yeah. You see, building a business and building wealth is very easy. Lots of people have done it. Reading books is not enough. Find someone, do your research, and find someone around you that is crushing it. Yeah. Maybe, or even if you don't know them, do a little bit of investigating and figure out, let's say that you wanted to open up a counseling center for couples, for marriages. Then figure out who is the biggest counseling business in our country or the world. Check out their team. See how they hire them, how much they pay them, how much they charge. You want to know everything about them. Go out and do that. It's that simple. Now, you got to be your authentic self. You're not going to be a replica of them. Be yourself. But do what they did. Now, everyone is selling something. And that is sometimes hard for people to understand. That everyone is selling something, regardless of if they know it or not. I believe that I'm selling myself to you right now. You know, before getting here, I called my wife and I was selling myself to her. When I discipline my children and I want to promote obedience, I'm selling myself to them, to my clients, to my employees, to my friends. Like I sell myself and you sell yourself every single day. So might as well become the best at it. And it starts with trust. And the way human beings see trust is when you find a person that is competent in what they're speaking about and has a great attitude. Now, there are certain principles under competency that would reflect, that would show that you're that person. And it starts with owning your product, being an expert in what you do, being a credible person, a person of integrity, understanding that money doesn't have you. Having the authority where you can speak with authority and say, hey, that's not good for you. I've had clients that have come to me, and I straight up just tell them, do yourself a favor. I said it this weekend on Saturday. Do yourself a favor and hire our developing company. Trust me, no one will build better than us. Yeah. And when they see that you're truly serious about it and that you believe it, let me tell you what's going to happen. They're going to give you the job.
Oh, so good.
I went to this conference on Saturday, and guess what? I got a job of it's about between $75 and $150 million for our developing company.
Let's go. Wow.
Because I told him that.
Yeah.
He sent me the job. Swinnerton maybe I shouldn't say that, but Swinnerton had bid the job, and they were out a year and a half. I said, we can start right away.
Wow.
So he sent me their proposal. Not only he's going to give me the job, but I know how much my competition is charging.
Wow.
But because I knew what I had to tell him. So do yourself a favor and hire us. Now, not only having the authority, but understanding timing.
Yeah.
You see, a lot of people say, wait for the perfect timing. That is not true. Champions like you understand that we create the moment, we seize the opportunity, and we close the deal. There's no other way. There's no other way. Now, the attitude part, and I'm going to give it another book in a minute, because we talked about attitude in chapter 4, and it's amazing. It's a self-check that I have when it comes to attitude. People will not trust you if you don't have the right attitude. And you build the right attitude by having a strong belief system.
Wow. So good.
And your belief system gets built by the actions that you take. The actions that you take, guess what they are a product of your vision. And your vision is a product of your faith. And your faith is a product of what? Of how much you read the Word of God. Wow. Now, there are times in my life where I feel like I don't have a good attitude. So I check my belief system. There have been times where I feel that I don't have vision. I check my faith. There are times where I'm like, I'm not reading the Bible. Like, I don't want to read it. Then I check my thoughts. And then I check what am I looking at and what I'm hearing. So that's very important. Now, before we go into real estate, making a business, closing a deal, is simply is your job of taking a client and making a psychological decision in their brain of deciding if you're it or not. And that you build it again with competency and trust. Our brain has an analytical part and emotional part. You fulfill the emotional part with a great attitude, and the competency part by knowing your stuff, knowing your product, knowing your service. Okay? Now, real estate. Now, it's Monday. It's a little late, so I want you guys to help me out. This is a Pathfinder night. At Pathfinders, we believe in competition. So I'm going to divide the room in two. And on 3, I want you guys to say the word maximize. When I point this way, I want you guys to say maximize. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Maximize! Wow, that was really good. 3, 2, 1. Maximize! That is right. All right, one more time. Maximize! Real estate. Maximize! Real estate. Maximize! Real estate. I love that. I love real estate. Oh, man, you guys got me pumped up. So when people ask me, Chris, what do you invest in? And that's what I say. Real estate. I say it 3 times on purpose. Real estate, real estate, real estate. Do you invest in crypto and Wall Street? No, I don't invest in Wall Street. I don't know anything about Wall Street. Do you invest in Facebook? I don't know let me tell you something. I don't know if Facebook's going to be here 50 years from now, 100 years from now, but the high density multifamily units that I purchase, they're going to be there 200 years from now when I'm no longer here for my children and my children's children. And let me tell you something. Even I believe in the game of cash flow, not net worth. But when I go to Bank of America, or even the oldest bank in the world, Wells Fargo, guess what? They give me money for my deals. But if I ask them for a loan to buy their own stock, they will not loan me any money. Wow. Just think about that. Wow. They will not loan me money to buy their own stock, but they'll loan me money, whatever I want, to buy my real estate deals. Wow. They believe in cash flow. I believe in cash flow. So you got to believe in cash flow, okay? Now, building passive income can propel you to financial freedom and allow you to focus on your purpose. We talked about that already. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about a couple of things that might be on their way of you investing in real estate. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So we have found out of numerous calls we had in our company that people don't buy real estate because they feel they have a bad credit. They feel that perhaps they don't have the money. And there is some people, Marco, that have the money and have the credit, but they just don't know how to start.
Brilliant.
Now, if we can go to the next slide. We believe in a principle, and I say we, Denise and I and our family, and it's called delayed gratification. And I love talking about it anytime I get an opportunity to speak, because we're trying to make it sexy again. We're trying to make it attractive, because the society is inundating the airwaves through billboards, social media, television, of that instant gratification. You can buy with $29.99 a pill, and all of a sudden, you're going to lose weight. Right. No, there's no shortcuts. There just isn't. Am I right?
Yeah.
So, what is delayed gratification? This guy's pretty cool. I'm going to give him my book. Delayed gratification. He keeps on agreeing with me. He's like, yeah. Delayed gratification for us is the fact that we will not buy a toy or a vacation home or whatever it is that we want things with our earned income. We'll buy it with our passive income, even if we have the means to do so. That is our principle. And we seldom break this rule. What trumps that rule is family. Like, family trumps anything in God. If I need to invest in something for the kingdom, I'll break any rule. We just sold, and I'll say this, Denise and I just sold one of our investments to be able to meet our Vision Builders pledge. And let me say this, we gave it because we have it. We sold the property out of many properties that we have. Okay? So, we're going to go ahead and give you a couple. We want to showcase the delayed gratification principle. And the first example we have is where we went out and bought 10 properties because we wanted to own a nice estate home. Some of you guys might have been in our house before through a Vision Builders Night or a Pathfinders Night. And what we did, we went out and we purchased 10 properties, high-density properties. They were in distraught condition. We stabilized the assets. We got them back rented. We refinanced them, and we went and we bought our home cash. Now, you don't have to buy a home cash. I actually don't recommend that. That was just a goal we had. So it's kind of like a game for us. We want something, we want to go get it, so we figure out what assets we have to buy to go get it. So we did that, and you will see in the next slide, that's our home. It's a beautiful home. Every time I drive into that driveway and I hit the code of my gates, of my own gate, I'm like, hey, this is pretty awesome. I picked every single tree and bush with our designers, the tiles. It just feels really good. But I wouldn't have done that if I had to work for it with my own time. I don't exchange time for money. You see, things don't have me. Denise and I can leave very comfortable in a 3-bedroom apartment. I almost said 2, but no, that wouldn't be comfortable. We have 3 kids. Now, next slide, please. Yeah. So now we wanted to pay for our daughter's private school, and I believe it was about $1,200. So I got my team to research Michigan, and we identified 6 properties that I liked. I went out, flew over, bought them, got them fixed up, got them rented, sold 3 of them, and the other 3 gave us enough money to be able to get our daughter, Brianni, into private school. Next slide. Now, the Beverly story. It keeps on happening. My daughter goes to this private school, like new problems. And now she's like, Daddy, I want to have a Cadillac Escalade like my friend, and it's so nice. I'm like, she was really serious about it. She really wanted it. So then we're like, okay, let's go get you one. But then we go and ask, and it was like $145,000. I'm like, whoa, we need to buy an asset for that. So we went to the dealership as a family, and we figured out that we needed $145,000 to buy the vehicle cash, and we can do that with the fix and flip, or a lease of the vehicle for $2,800. As a family, including Brianni, my wife Denise and I, my other kids are too small yet. At that time, they didn't make this decision, but we decided to buy a buy and hold. So we bought, if you go to the next slide, play the video, we bought this property as a family. Check it out. The property didn't have parking, so we created parking. We took the units from 1 bedroom to 2 bedrooms. Look how beautiful that is. That's money right there. Yeah. Let's go. All right. So now let's look at the numbers super quick. So the property, after we rented all the units, left us a passive income on a monthly basis of $3,710. How much was the lease? $2,800. So next slide, please. So we take our daughter, not to just any dealership. We take her to Beverly Hills. Madonna was actually buying an Escalade herself. So we bought. And my daughter was like super excited. Madonna was right here. I'm like, yup. And my daughter got to negotiate the deal with all the upgrades, and it was only $2,800 a month or whatever it was. And we were left with a residual income of $910 a month and about $250,000 in equity. How beautiful that is. Now, I want to walk you through a case study. And show you how you can do it. It's not that difficult. You just gotta understand that if you want instant gratification, you're never gonna get out of what I call the dog race. I think Robert Kiyosaki did a good job explaining the rat race or chase, but I think it's not that accurate, because you have people out there in the world that sometimes don't play by the rules, and we play by the rules, and we're still gonna win. And that means that we're going to have to outwork them. We're going to have the biggest heart, but we're not going to give up. We're going to walk towards adversity. You know, Colin Higginbottom would get on stage and would say years ago when I first got to this church, you know, I welcome adversity. And he would look at me and be like, I welcome problems. And I'd be like, whoa, that's a little crazy. I don't. But I've learned, thanks to Colin, seriously, I've learned that champions understand that the only way to get to financial freedom is by welcoming problems. Let me tell you, the bigger the problem, the bigger the adversity, the less competition, because people don't want to go there. So even if your goal is just to get from 0 to 100, whatever that 100 is, whatever that thing is, you might not get to 100. But when you get to like the 80, the 70 area, guess what? You're going to be the only one doing it. And that's how you go out and make money. Now, I feel tonight, there's some people in here tonight that are feeling like they're going 70%, 60%, maybe 80%, and you're about to go 100%. You're about to go 120%. So now, real estate strategies. You can make money in real estate by doing buy and holds, lease options, tax lien investing, corporate rentals, land development, investing in REITs, changing properties, super popular right now, from residential to commercial. Syndications, rent to own, wholesale, lease to own. You could do assumption of properties, assumption of loans, or subject to. We just did a subject to property next to my home for one of my older brothers, and we purchased him a $1.5 million property, and the interest rate was like 2%, around 2%, like literally a few months ago. Wow. It's like, what? But the person who sold it to us had done a loan modification years ago, and we took advantage of that by a subject to. Wow. See, real estate is the vehicle to get you to financial freedom, will align you with your purpose. Now, let's start this case study. Let's say that we want to buy a boat. I kind of like that boat, by the way. That's why I put it there. So let's just say, let's go back. So let us say that boat, if we purchase it, let's say that it'll be a payment of $900 a month. Okay? Now maybe you don't want a boat. Maybe you want to pay for your daughter's, your son's private school. Yeah. Maybe, but whatever that is, you put that in there. Okay, let's go. And the first thing that I would do is I would evaluate my situation. What can I bring to the table? It looks a little blurry here, but this spreadsheet here, and if you guys want this live, just send me a DM message and I'll send them to you, or my team will. But you're gonna have to go through the acquisition stage if you're gonna do a fix and flip, the disposition part, the asset management, the finance part or the loan sponsoring if you don't have money. You got to figure out and assess your situation. Do I have the money to purchase a property, to invest in a property, but I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the time? So then you come in and find the right partners, and you would do all the loan sponsoring and get the proportional interest of the property for what you're doing. Let's say that you understand the asset management part, the property management, the reporting to the investors, then you do that part. Let's say that maybe you're a realtor, or you have a realtor friend that pitched the property to you. Maybe you can bring the deal and find people that have the money and the ability to take the property from 0 to 100. You see, this is an amazing sheet that we use let me say this. I've had dozens and dozens of partnerships, and I had one that went wrong. And the reason that partnership went wrong, it happened in the beginning. For lack of a clear, delegated responsibilities or expectations. So with something like this, when you go into real estate, and you literally, from the beginning, we signed this sheet with my partners. And it's so clear, and it's so vivid, where everybody understands their responsibilities, you will not have any issues. It's okay to go into partnerships with clarity. Next slide, please. Now, this is just an example of what I did. Can you guys read the numbers? Yeah. I really can't from here, but so let's say you have, I think I put Dan, Mike, Frankie, and Chris. I put myself in there, and I'm the loan sponsor guy, the green one. So I get 11%. Is that 11%? Yeah. I get 11%. The guy who is doing the finance, he gets 40%. The asset manager, 25%. The acquisitions and disposition guy, 25%. So that is something that I actually send my attorney. So when they create the member-managed LLC, he basically creates the legal part using this information. So next slide, please. So now let's say you want to start in real estate, but you don't know what city to start buying in, what state. So there's a ratio that we're about to talk about. It's called the price to rent ratio. And real estate has hundreds of ratios that will help you analyze property. What I like about this ratio is that it is easy to use. Anyone can use it. You're going to learn how to use it right now today, and it's very simple. The price to rent ratio, if it's less than 15, is cheaper and more affordable to buy versus renting. Anything between 16 and 20 leans towards renting. Anything over 21, you should just rent. You shouldn't buy there. So now, if we use, next slide please, we use CoStar, and it will cost you $4,000 or $5,000 a month to have CoStar. I haven't seen the bills lately, but something like that, depending how much you use it. But you can get this information for free in websites like Sophie.com. I actually went myself and got it from Sophie.com on Sunday for you guys, okay? And if for some reason you can't use Sophie, go on Google and just ask the question, give me the price to rent ratios per city in the United States. And when I did my research on Sunday, I saw that San Francisco was a 38. Should we buy and hold there? No. Milwaukee was a 15. Should we? Maybe. And then Detroit was a 6. Could we buy there? Would it cash flow? Yes. Okay, next slide. So I want you to take out your phones. This is a case study that we're going to do, and I want you to open them up. This is a real property you're going to find on Zillow. This property is actually for sale right now. Someone could buy it and make money with it. So when you have it, let me know. Let's see, I want to see you guys' cell phone. Is it opening up correctly? Yeah. All right, fantastic. What does it cost? Okay, fantastic. Next slide, please. So you can go on Zillow. We all know how to use Zillow. And simply, once you identify the city you want to be in, when you figure out the price to rent ratio, and you can do this per state. You can do it per city. I would say that you would look at them. Obviously, pick the best price to rent ratio because I wanted to just get something that worked right away. But really, if you were to ask me, I don't want to buy in Detroit right now because it's too far. I don't have a private jet yet, and I don't like leaving my family for a week. So I would probably look at Texas, maybe Nevada, maybe We bought in Ohio not too long ago with some partners. Anyways, so for purposes of this scenario, we're going to buy a property as a group in Detroit. We made some assumptions. The assumptions based on the pictures, we're going to invest $4,000 in capital expenditures per unit, 3% rent increase per year, 2% expenses per year. They're going to increase 2% per year. Rents as per rentometer.com. By the way, rentometer.com, guys, is, in my opinion, the best website to figure out rents nationwide. And you can get, I believe, 5 a day for free. And if you pay for the membership, like $25, you get unlimited. So if you're in this business, use that website. The cap rate we saw in that area was 7.42. Now, the information was pending walkthrough with our team of experts, but the information you're going to see, it's also pending our negotiations. When we go and purchase a property, not only we negotiate before we send an offer, like anybody else would, but once we put the property under contract, we get a contractor that is local from that area. If we can send our own company, we'll send our company. But then they're going to find out everything and anything that is wrong with that property. And then, what do? We send them a counter offer and we ask for a discount, like a big discount. Let's do this again.
Maximize.
Oh, come on. Come on. Maximize. All right, we're awake. That was for me, guys, not for you. Next slide, please. Now, the information I got from Zillow, and now you can use CoStar, you can use MLS and other programs if you have access to them, but you can do it with Zillow. We've got the address, the usable square footage, lot square footage, number of apartments, purchase price, without us negotiating, $4,000 that we allocated for CapEx, total purchase price $489, total expenses $34,000, net operating income $36,000, cap rate 5.2, DSCR 1.42. Next slide. Well, I wish it was more clear. Okay, so you're looking at a transaction analysis. Let us say that you wanted to do a fix and flip. When you do a fix and flip, we put all the expenses that you would have renovating the property, the acquisition cost, the disposition cost, the realtor fees, maintenance fees, marketing fees, staging fees, all that. You would put it in this sheet, our sheet or any sheet that you or your choice. But when I did this on Sunday, it gave us a profit of $60-some thousand. I can't read it. Can somebody read it? No. Okay, it was like $60-some thousand. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now, this is our income analysis. And that's what we're interested in because we're trying to buy that boat, right? Want to buy that boat. We need $900 a month. You see, I'm not interested in quick money. You see, I've noticed, I've been around wealthy people enough where I see that the further you can see, the more you can wait, the bigger the reward. Let me tell you, real estate is a sport that rewards patience. So we want to do buy and hold. We don't care about the $60,000. I mean, that could help us. But you might say, well, Chris, that's easy for you because I overheard you're a multimillionaire. But let me tell you, I thought like that before I had the money. I've always thought like that. Because wealth is a mindset. Set of rules and principles. It's not what you have in the bank. You see, so you are wealthy today because of the mindset that you're choosing to adapt right now in your life. So we have the expenses, we have the income of the property, the expenses of the property, and the total income on a yearly basis. Let's go to the next slide. Then here you're going to see our monthly cash flow on the first year of $913. Can we go buy our boat? Yeah. Boy, it gets better. Let's say that we pay off our boat in 6 years. And then on year number 10, we still have the property. How much are we going to make on year number 10? $1,847. Hey, we can upgrade our boat or go buy another toy. Wow. You see, I think our Escalade is due to be returned in about a year. And if we don't have to go back to the slide, but if we would go back, you will see that in year number 4, I think we're making like $4,800 in that property. Wow. So yeah, I think we're going for a Lambo SUV or something like that. Yeah. So, but I would not do that. You see, money doesn't have me or Denise. And I know it doesn't have you either. So I would not encourage you to go buy a fancy vehicle, an exotic car, that big estate home yet, if you don't have passive investments that give you that money. It's not time yet. You're not in that season yet. Hey, it's okay. So you go and you buy your boat. Yeah. So let me tell you something else that I don't want to forget. When we purchased, anytime you go and you make a new investment, or you purchase a new toy, and you purchase that boat, it's going to come with maintenance. You buy an estate home. We went from a 2,900 square foot home with very little maintenance to a 7,500 square foot home. 6,500 square foot home with a lot of maintenance, with an acre and a half fully developed. I didn't know the maintenance in a estate home. When we actually got there, we figured out that just to clean the home was like $600-700, and we wanted our home cleaned on a daily basis. Like, oh my God, the water bill was like $1,200. Gardening like $600-700, and these are weekly costs. So we're like, what do we get into? We did it. The 10 properties we purchased didn't cover the full-time cleaning lady. So we converted a studio in the home, and we rented it for $2,400 a month, and that is paying for our full-time janitorial person, our cleaning lady. So, but I am not. But let me tell you, in the beginning, if you would have gone to our house, I didn't want my beautiful Denise to be cleaning a 7,000 square foot home. So guess what? It wasn't that clean. Because I wasn't going to go and spend out of my earned income, $700, I'm going to go and clean it. Okay, I did spend it a couple of times, but I wasn't going to do it like all the time if I had to work for it. I'd rather sell it. So we did the same thing for the water bill, same thing for the other expenses that come up. So that is the mindset that you have to be able to build true wealth.
Come on.
You see, success is a product of obsession glued to relentless, massive action. You see, I was doing a Bible study with my beautiful kids and my beautiful Denise a few months ago, and we were doing a study on Genesis first chapter. And right at the second chapter, it starts explaining how God worked relentlessly. And I read it a couple of times because I couldn't see anywhere in there that it said that he took a break. Day and night. He worked relentlessly, and on the seventh day, he decided to take a rest. So who are we to say that, no, I can't work 12 hours a day. I can't work 10 hours a day. By a show, and I'm not I'm not promoting for you to go out and work for money or work 20 hours a day or whatever and only sleep 4. But let me tell you, there have been moments in my life where I have worked 5 days without sleeping. You're like, whoa, what's up with this dude? It's a little obsessive. Yes, I am obsessed. I'm obsessed. And then somebody told me the other day, or asked me, Chris, but what do you do when you feel like you don't feel like you want to do it? And I'm like, can you ask me that question just one more time? He's like, yeah, I wanted to hear it again. I want to see if he would catch it. And he said, yes, what do you do when you don't feel like doing it? I said, you know what? That's for boys. I said, I don't do nothing on feelings. But as a matter of fact, I always feel like being a great husband to my wife. I always feel like eating. I always feel like giving my children the best life they can have. I always feel like driving my Velociraptor. I always feel like having a nice watch, like a nice $2,000 suit. I always feel like having good things. But I'm not gonna act on just feelings. You see, even my marriage, like I'm married to my wife for the rest of my life, regardless of how I feel. I happen to feel great. I love my beautiful Denise, and I'm obsessed with her too. Let me tell you, but it is not, even in business, it's not about how you feel. There are going to be times in life where you're not going to feel like it, but you still got to get up and do it. Now, next slide, please. Okay, we're done. Yeah. So if you have any questions, if you want to learn more about it, hit us up. This is not a sales pitch at all, because you guys are awakened people. I want to help you. Let's build the kingdom together. Let's build wealth together. Let's go out and represent God in our work. Anybody outside of this church, anybody. Let's go out and pledge the biggest we can to our vision builders. Let's go out and be, Pathfinders be, what propels Pastor Jurgens and Leanne's vision of 16 campuses in San Diego. Let's be generous. Love you guys.
Chris, why don't you stay up here with me?
Okay.
This is like the gift that just keeps on giving. So I actually have the opportunity to be able to ask a couple questions to him and continue this. So if we can bring a couple of these up. But Chris, we really want to thank you for going first.
So good,
for being
Chris.
somebody who just lived a relentless life, but also showed us the way. I think what's so powerful is a lot of people just talk about investing in real estate. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. Tell me how. Tell me what the steps I need to take. Or what are the tangible tools and tactics to be able to do that? And Chris, I just so appreciate you doing that. So why don't we
Appreciate
sit
you
down?
too, Daniel.
So, when you talk about becoming an expert in something, when you first started in real estate in the San Diego market, what were some of the things that you did to become an expert in real estate?
That's a great question. When I first started, I did actually what I explained. I researched the best people in the industry, and I saw the teams they had, and I found their strengths, but I also realized they had some weaknesses. I called them. They were their ego was pretty high. They didn't want to give a lot of information, so I saw an opportunity to capitalize on it. So then I went, and there's that, what is that saying? If you're not in the media, become the media, right? Okay. So I went into public records, and I researched every single deal that was sold in the previous year that was for an investor in Southern California, who purchased it, who their bank was. I reverse engineered the construction, how much money they spent, how much money they made. I made a pro forma on it, and then I started seeing names that would come up often, like SD Homes. Back then, PGI Homes, the biggest flipper in California. They were owned by the Ready Children's family. And I focused so much in learning the game of real estate, the sport of real estate, that I, at some point, didn't even have to read statistics or what was happening in the market. I was the market. And it got to a point where those big guys that were ignoring me in the beginning, I would on a monthly basis, I would raffle who would get the first right of refusal to sit down with me to see what was to come in the market. And I would sell an hour or 2 hours of my time for $10,000 to $15,000. So because I knew that I felt that no one knew the market better than me. And I'm not a real estate agent, I'm not a broker, but I was determined to be the best. And I was, and I am.
Wow, so good. And what's so powerful about that is that the data is all readily available, but you were willing to put in the work to be able to get to that. And one of the things that you talked about there was seeing some of, we'll call it maybe a scarcity mindset of what other real estate investors were doing in terms of sharing their knowledge. Or that, how do you feel that type of mentality, or what would you say is the best mentality to have when it comes to real estate? Because there even could be investors in here who may be great at one of those different areas. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so the right mindset that you got to have to invest in real estate is, I would say, I have these quotes that I write, and I've been doing this since I was in college. And one of the first quotes I ever wrote says this: live your life as if you were going to die tomorrow, but invest as if you was going to live forever. Wow. And I literally live by it. Like right now, you guys have 100% of Chris Aguilar. Like 100%. Like I'm not thinking of nothing else, just being here with you guys right now. Wow. Like I live my life to the fullest. Yeah.
Wow, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Chris. And I love that we can see how present you are and the passion.
Thank you.
Really infuse that into us. And we've talked about relentless mentality, but there are certain times, I think in each and every one of our lives, where we've had to overcome adversity, where we've had maybe a goal or something that we need to accomplish, and there have been some roadblocks in the way, or even maybe it was, one of them could be wanting to go to sleep or something like that. So can you talk a little bit about, some of the, I have Nora ring, I track my sleep, but so can you talk a little bit about the story behind the ice buckets and what happened there?
Yeah, so just quick side note, so about I don't know, 8 months ago, I went to go see my doctor, and I wanted to see if there was a way I could go with only sleeping 3 hours a day, because I felt like I was falling behind on the assignment, and he laughed at me, and I said, "Doctor, I'm serious. I don't like drugs. Like, what can I do?" And he goes, "Chris, you need to sleep." So then I said, "Nah, he's not giving me what I want to hear." So then I went out and I asked my really good friend Chris Brown, Coach Chris Brown, that trained Olympic people, right? And we were out having lunch. And I said, "Chris," I said, "I asked you to come for lunch because I know you train some very high level people." I said, "And I'm an athlete in the sport of business." I said, "And what can I do to not sleep as much?" He also laughed at me. So I haven't figured out how to not sleep, guys. But to going back, what I did when I was 22 years old, freshly out of San Diego State, I was trying to get this job for this company that at the time was kind of like worldwide, and I went in for an interview. They agreed to meet me, and when the vice president of the company saw me, he asked his executive secretary, Allison Glenn, I remember. He said, "Hey, Allison, where's mine?" Like 2 o'clock or whatever it was. And she looked at me, and she's like, "Good, sir, it's right here." And he looked at me, he went over the counter, and he goes, "I'm sorry, kid, I'm sorry." And he walked away. So then I followed him. And I said, "Hey, I need like 2 minutes of your time, just 2 minutes." I kept on following him. He was just quiet, and we got into his office and invited myself in. And he goes, "What do you want?" I said, "I want 2 minutes of your time." He goes, "Well, you're in my office already. Go ahead, 2 minutes." And I said, "Look, no matter what I tell you," I said, "I did some research on you. You need me. Because you have presence like all over the United States, but your presence is very weak in California." I said, "I know the best architects, consultants, subcontractors. Like, you need me." And I said, "Let me tell you this. Give me the worst project you have in California. Give me 6 days, and I'll come back with the budget subtrade assembly. I'll come back with the subcontractors you need to hire, the consultants, architects, engineers, a perfect schedule." I said, "Give me 6 days, and I just graduated from San Diego State. I don't have a lot of money, but I'll even pay the $300 for the plans." And he looked at me like if I was crazy. He goes, "In 6 days?" I'm sorry, I said 7 days. And I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Well, I'll give you the plans. You don't have to pay for them. If that's all I need to get rid of you, I'll just give them to you." And he was kind of like smiling at the time. So he gave me the plans, walked out of the office, and that's where the bucket story comes in. So after like 2 or 3 days, I was falling asleep. Like I needed to sleep. Even though I was a little youngster, I needed to sleep. And I just couldn't like not meet I was behind on my own schedule to finish what I committed to do. So I went to the backyard of my house. My dad used to do construction back then, and I found 2 empty paint buckets, those 5-gallon ones. So I brought them in the house at like 1 in the morning. I filled them up with water and ice. I put my feet in it and kept on going all night. I didn't like coffee back then.
Yeah.
So, I got the job done in 6 days, came back, impressed the man, he hired me. I'd worked my direct boss within 8 months, and I became the director of operations for that company, and we got to build, $170 million projects, $200 million projects, $94 million projects, mixed use, apartments, resorts, expansions to Legoland. At 22 years old, it was pretty amazing. Yeah.
Before 4.2 is a cold water immersion, or Wim Hof was even around, you were doing it. So, once again, blazing trails. So one, I think you've inspired a lot of us to continue to take that step into real estate, whether we've invested in it before or are thinking about doing it. Yeah. What are some, and I love that you give us some tangible dynamics. if there is somebody who is ready to take that step, let's say you're having coffee, you're having lunch with them,
Yeah.
what would you say to that person?
If they're getting ready to get started,
Yeah.
I want to say, first of all, it's like, what is the purpose of your life? You see, people talk about like, what's your why? That was a big mistake in my life. It actually got me to a place of almost being a little depressed. You know, you shouldn't focus on your why so much, because as you're putting a cap over your life. You know that walk I was having in that parking lot of all the things I wanted? You know, I was 33 years old and I got it. With the exception of the helicopter and the jet, soon to come.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was just going to work and I was just doing life, and it got kind of boring and stale, and because I accomplished all my whys. So the first thing I always talk about is, hey, what's the purpose? What is the purpose for your existence here on earth? And if I see that they don't know it, then I walk them through it. And we have strategies for that. And one of the first questions I ask is, hey, what do you do for a living right now? If I was to give you $5 million right now, would you still be doing that? Now, if I was to give you $5 million right now, what things would you not do?
Wow.
If another question I ask is, hey, what do people call you for all the time? Like, what are you good at? And sometimes I get the religious answer in Matthew 28, right at the end, about the Great Commission. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but what do you have in your hands right now? And how faithful are you being with what you have in your hands to get you to the Grand Commission? Because not everyone's going to be a pastor or a preacher, a teacher, whatever, right? So my first thing is, make sure you identify with your purpose. Like, what is the reason for your existence here on earth? And so we have actually we created at TCA a half an hour long test to help people identify their purpose.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even those questions that you just asked there are so powerful to continue to dig into that. And one of the things that I think is so powerful about you, Chris, is you keep talking about these different questions that you ask yourself that help you to get closer to the vision for your life.
Right.
So what are some of those, and you've spoken on a couple of them, but as you're going through a decision-making process, what are some of the questions or what are some of the filters you use to be able to know that you're going in the direction? Because a guy like yourself, there's a number of different opportunities coming your way.
Right.
So what are those questions that you ask to know what is the right opportunity or which direction to be running?
I would say what I'm always reminding myself is this going to get me and my family closer to God? Like, am I going to be able to serve God? So everything I do, God is in the center. Everything I do revolves around Him. So if something takes my peace away, it's not from God. Hey, I can take tension, stress. I actually welcome it. But if I feel like peace is kind of like leaving me, then I call Denise immediately. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? I just got this proposed. We had an investor that came in and proposed to invest. Like, he really liked me, and he said, Chris, met him, we had lunch, and said, hey, Chris, what do you need right now? And I said, well, like $30 million would be great. He's like, okay, I got him. What do we do with him? I said, okay, we can do this and that. And we shook hands, and we were getting ready to do business, and I get home, I tell Denise, she got a check in her heart, and she said, no, can't do that. I'm like, why? He's like, he's not, I just don't feel good about him. My discernment tells me that you should not do business with him. And to be vulnerable, I'm sorry, but I actually did it. And guess what happened? I learned very early, that was back when I was first starting my investment career, and I did that, and it was horrible. The guy, all he did was travel. And I needed his signature to be able to close on deals and either acquisitions or resales. And my reputation started getting burned out. People were like, oh, Chris doesn't perform. And I got myself out of that situation. I just gave him everything with all the equities. I said, I just want you.
The wrong decision so that we can make the right decision for the rest of our lives. Are there any other, I like to call them school fees, Because in business,
school fees.
I haven't
Jeez.
gone to graduate school, but I've gone to graduate school in school fees.
Yeah,
And some of
yeah,
the lessons
yeah.
that I've learned through doing business. So can you talk to us about some of those outside of listening to the wisdom of your beautiful wife and checking your discernment there that you've learned over your years in business?
Yeah, I made quite a bit of mistakes, and it's probably right now at over $1.5 million of mistakes in money, and maybe more. Actually, sadly, it's actually a lot more than that. And I would say look for someone that has the right core values, the right experience, and is willing to dedicate time to you, and have them mentor you and do what they say. I was in a conference, and I'll say it, and I'll name drop a little bit because I know he's cool with it. But I spoke in this conference on Saturday, and when I got there, they said, "Hey, you're doing a workshop. You're speaking." And I knew that, but they said, "You're doing a workshop, right?" I'm like, "No, I'm not doing a workshop." He goes, "Oh, your team didn't tell you?" I'm like, "No, but I can do it. If my team was told, it's fine." And then he said, "Oh, you also could you kind of like MC with me, like the other night?" It was a 12-hour event, and I was the second to last speaker. Actually, I was the last speaker, and I felt a little tired at the end. But anyway, so Greg Reed, he mentors me in how to speak and all that. And when we first started, like I get on stage, and I'm an awakened guy, so I approach Andy, who got on stage before me, to introduce me. The conference is about to start, and we shake hands, we hug, and then he again shook my hand, and we hugged again. So then we introduced the first speaker, Hector Padilla, tycoon in real estate. I go to the restroom after that, and Greg was waiting for me. He followed me in the restroom, and he goes, "Hey, what the F did you just do? You're a professional speaker. You don't do that. What is that hugging? And you don't do that. You're a professional, Chris." And I was like, dang, like why the F word, And and I was like, okay, great. Well, thank you. I'm not gonna do that. But I welcome, if I'm gonna ask someone to spend time in helping me, I'm gonna listen. And I'm gonna do what they're asking me to do because I'm trusting them.
Right.
So you gotta be very careful whose leadership you're under, who your mentors are. But to answer your question, look for a good mentor, someone who has the same core values. And I would say if you don't have the, if you don't read your word, and can I be like super transparent with this? Okay.
Come on.
So if you're not reading your word, read your word. And if you're reading it, but you feel like you still don't have the wisdom for your business, read it more. Read it a little bit more. And if you're not super convinced that you know your word, do not have somebody mentor you who's not a believer. Right. You see, I have all kinds of mentors. Some are Christian, some are not. But if a mentor is not a Christian, and he says something, I will check it immediately. And if it's out of line, I'll be like, all right, thank you. And I'll ignore it. Because I have the wisdom to do that. Yeah. So I want to make sure I threw that out there. Okay, huh? Yeah.
That's so good. Thank you. So I actually had the opportunity to have Chris on my podcast once, and I always finish with this question. So it may be a little bit unique in this circumstance, but you had such a powerful answer that I want to share it with everyone. Mm-hmm. And so I always ask the question is, what is the one piece of advice that you would give your younger self?
Oh, I remember that question. How old would Chris be? How old would?
Think of like Chris later years in your life.
Okay.
To be able to your younger self.
So the first thing that I would say, and I remember what I told you in your podcast. The first thing I would say is kind of like the sandwich approach. Like, good job. Like, it was good that you didn't sleep much. Yeah. But then the second thing I would say to myself would be, you should have done more. You should have done more. You should have done more. Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
Can we all give a round of applause for Chris, Aguilar.
I'll give you a hug. Also.
I didn't know whether to have the hug, but I think I have to give it away.
Thank you.
So, can we give another round of applause for Chris? That was so awesome. You guys did a good job.
Thank you.